Welcome back, everyone, to the Six Pennies podcast. Today I have Timmy on the phone. How are you doing, Timmy?
Pretty good.
Yeah, we only have two guys again. It's only 4 cents, not six pennies. But I'm excited to do this podcast. We decided to do something not NBA related for once. We're gonna do a podcast regarding movies, and not only movies but the remakes of movies. For some reason, movies and remakes in Hollywood get a really bad negative connotation. Nobody really appreciates the remakes, but we're here to argue that some of the remakes that we've seen have been a lot better than their predecessors.
I'm all ready. Hopefully, for this podcast, we'll be a little more knowledgeable than our last one that was about the Academy Awards that we hadn't watched at all.
Yeah, I would keep hoping if I were you, because I don't know any of these movies. But um, yeah, I mean, like original thought, original movies. Like I give them all the props in the world because they're coming up with their own ideas and they're creating these their own storylines and stuff. And so that's why reboots and remakes really don't have the same appeal, especially like all the movies that Hollywood has taken from other countries, right? So we have the girl with the dragon tattoo. I think that was Sweden. We have like hundreds and hundreds of movies from Japan and India that we've adopted here in the States. With that being said, though, I wanted to touch base on a few remakes that I thought are actually better than originals. And you can agree or disagree with me, Timmy, but the first movie I wanted to point out is 21 Jump Street. And this was kind of a loophole. It's a remake of a TV show, not of another movie. But this movie really, has a sentimental place in my heart because I just remember as when I was a kid, I would just see this TV show on TV because my parents were watching and they were really interested in Dustin Wynn, who was one of the major characters on that show. But I don't remember the show being that good. Um, but the movie that they made with what's his face, Channing Tatum, I thought that was hilarious.
So, is this finally your admission that Channing Tatum is a true Hollywood star and acting genius?
I wouldn't go as far as acting genius. I wouldn't. I mean, he's a star. He's a legitimate C to B list star. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Got you up to the almost B. That's good. Yeah, 21 Jump Street, the new one was great just because of Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill, the chemistry that they had. I think people weren't expecting it, and it's truly funny. I think it's better than the original.
And it was cool when they brought like some of the original cast back in that last scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah, another movie I want to talk about, and this is more because this was during her prime, and it's Freaky Friday. I doubt you've seen this, Timmy, but I actually have seen the original and the new one that was remade in 2003. This was like definitely Lindsay Lohan prime. I think she made this and Mean Girls like back to back.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a really good streak. I saw both of those Lindsay Lohan movies. I have not seen the original Freaky Friday, so I can't say much about that one. I thought it was kind of a classic, though. But I did enjoy the newer remake, and then that back to back with Mean Girls is pretty impressive.
I think what's funny is Lindsay Lohan recently actually came out and said she wanted to do a remake of Mean Girls. So
Yeah, I heard that too.
that'd be crazy, but I don't want it
I
to
don't
be Lindsay Lohan.
I don't see why that's necessary. Like the original or the 2003 2004 version was so outstanding already, and it's only 10 12 years later. I don't see how it could be a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. And that was just like perfect storm of Lindsay Lohan, Rachel McAdams, younger
Yeah.
years. Like it was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, another movie that I thought the remake was way better than the original. And I know for a fact you haven't seen this original because it was way back when. But Ocean's 11. And Ocean's 11 is probably probably you, me, and Mox, one of our top movies. I don't know about you, but I know me and Mox top movies. It's just way better than the original, which featured the Rat Pack. This was awesome, from George Clooney to Brad Pitt to Damon.
Oh, I completely agree. I love Ocean's 11. I have the Blu-ray set for 11, 12, 13.
Oh wow.
And yeah, anytime I see them like on TV or on cable, if I'm like at a hotel or something, I always want to keep them on. I love those movies. I have not seen the original, so we're off to a really poor start with the first three movies, with me never having seen them. Thanks for doing that. But Oceans is great, not obviously because of the star power that you mentioned, but then a great supporting cast too with Don Cheadle and Casey Affleck and Bernie Mac. It's just a stacked roster. Even 12 and 13, which I think most people think are not as good, are still very underrated at this point. I think they each have their own moments as well.
Yeah, but I will say you love buying Blu-rays and then selling them on eBay later on. So I'm
Yeah,
surprised you still have this set.
I mean that happened one time with the Mad Men Blu-rays, right? That's it.
All right, so what's a movie you have seen then, the original and the remake?
One that I've definitely seen that we've talked about probably 4 or 5 times already is Karate Kid. And I know you're gonna laugh and make fun of me for this. Probably a lot of people will. I mean, the original is a great movie with Mr. Miyagi, and it's very classic. Has a lot of memorable scenes and one-liners. But I just really enjoyed the new one because it is so different. Even though it has the same kind of theme, it has some key changes there. Being in China with a black family and a black kid and kung fu instead of karate. It's just a fun movie that is a good remake if you're not trying to make it seem exactly like the original.
Do you view Jackie Chan as the same level as I do with Tom Cruise? Maybe you just don't see Jackie Chan can do wrong.
I absolutely do not view Jackie Chan at the same level as Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is much much better than Jackie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
but speaking of Jackie Chan, wouldn't it be cool if they did a Rush Hour remake?
oh, that'd be cool, but I don't want it to be Chris Tucker.
Well, yeah, he gained too much weight and has fallen off a cliff everywhere else. So Uh, another movie that I've seen that I like the remake of is, well, I guess this doesn't really count. Rocky and Creed, because Creed is not really a remake. It is set in the future since Sylvester Stallone is in it. But yeah, again, we've talked about this movie before too, and I like it because again, it's different from the original. It still follows the similar themes and storyline, but then it's just really well made and more current in terms of its references and pop culture and everything.
Yeah, I do agree that, both movies were great, from the Rocky series to Creed. But I will say maybe it's not a remake, but more of a reboot, because
Yeah,
I can see that there'll be, Creed 2, 3, 4, 5, and more down the road, right?
yeah, Creed 2 is already in the works. Speaking of like actual remakes,
Yeah.
The Departed is one that you listed on here. Did you like the new one or the old one? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so the old one was amazing. The original Inferno Affairs with Andy Lau, the Chinese version, like it was awesome. But I want to argue for the American version, for The Departed. I think it's just amazing acting. Even though if you knew the storyline, like if you had already watched Inferno Affairs, you would know that there's going to be twists and turns all throughout the movies. And I think the Departed movie, the American version, actually has one less twist at the end, if I'm not mistaken. But with that being said, I just like the American version more, probably because I'm American.
Did you do you remember what the last twist was in the movie in the Departed? Who kills whom?
I think Mark Wahlberg ends up killing Damon, right?
Got it. Yeah. So there is no Mark Wahlberg character in Infernal Affairs. I think that's the key thing. Everything else in the movie is exactly the same as the Chinese version. That's what made me upset because I had watched the Cantonese version of it several times before. Really enjoyed it. It's not just Andy Lau; he's the most recognizable Chinese actor, but everybody in that movie is a star in Hong Kong, and that's what made it so great. And then going into The Departed, I was really excited. I was like, oh, cool, they're going to put a new twist on this. It's going to have something interesting at the end. It's every single thing is exactly the same except for the very end because Mark Wahlberg is a new character they added because Marky Mark is awesome. And yeah, I don't know. It's just frustrating when they didn't do anything special and then are recognized for like Best Picture. I mean, yes, good acting. It has the star power and all that, but I just don't see why it's that
Jeez,
great
you
when it's the
hate The
same.
Departed.
No, man, I enjoyed The Departed. I really like the movie. I do own the Blu-ray of it for some reason. I don't know why.
Hey,
But yeah,
sell it on eBay, man.
I should. How much do you think I can get for it? Like 3, $4
Best
maybe?
offer, $3.99, free shipping.
Oh yeah, done. Oh, free shipping? I can't do free shipping. Uh, Otherwise, I would have gone for it.
I mean,
The
this discussion kind of reminds me of another Asian movie. I know we don't have this listed down, but Old Boy, the Korean version versus
Oh
the
yeah,
American version. And the American version, I know we're trying to argue for remakes, but the American version is like 100 times worse than
yeah,
the
it's
original
terrible.
Korean version. But I
And
think the
again,
Korean version
it's
is just way too twisted though to be in America.
yes, yes, that is completely right. The I watched the original version and got so freaked out by it. I was very glad. I don't know why I watched the American one when I knew it was going to be twisted to some extent. Anyway, going back to the Departed,
Yeah.
the one thing that I did not like, even more so about the newer version, is that the old one they use Morse code to tap on the phone, which I thought was really ingenious and like clever. And the new one, it's just texting. They're just like texting on their phones to give the messages. How is that like? I don't know. Like in this day and age, when you think about remaking movies, a lot of times you have to watch out for the technology and like things that have changed. It's very clear, like in the new days, that that guys in gangs, they wouldn't be able to just like text message each other under their shirts or in their pockets or something and get away
That
with
was
that.
really impressive though, Matt Damon. Like he's texting without looking at his phone, like all these
Yeah,
like
sure.
legit long messages. But I mean maybe they were ahead of the game because the part it was made in '06. Now we fast forward to 2017 and the number one mode of communication now is texting. So
Whoa, you did your research for this podcast. uh, okay, well, speaking of like all these remakes, the ones that we see the most of nowadays are
Oh
superheroes.
yeah,
So I wanted to go
definitely.
over a few superhero remakes with you. The first one is Batman. That's the one that you think of first because there's so many Batman movies. And the remake, I mean, the original was a long time ago, 50 years ago. But the ones we normally think of are the Michael Keaton and the Val Kilmer, George Clooney ones, and the remakes, of course, being the Dark Knight series with Christian Bale. And it's pretty clear that the new ones are better, right?
Yeah, not only are they better, but I would probably rate the Dark Knight trilogy and series as probably the best remake of any movie of all time, right? I can't think of
Yeah.
anything that was better.
I mean, it's one of the best trilogies of all time already. So yeah, I can't argue with that. How would you rank the Dark Knight movies?
I feel so Dark Knight, the second one is, far and away, not far and away, but general consensus that it's the best movie and is the best antagonist of all time with Joker and whatnot. But I will say Batman Begins is very, very underrated as a movie, like from beginning to end. And then Dark Knight Rises, Bane. To me, Bane is a very underrated bad guy. So for me, it's like all these movies are actually underrated. So I can't say which one's the best.
We should have a separate Dark Knight podcast because I agree with your choices, but we could go into so much from Liam Neeson to Breaking Batman's back for Tom Hardy. It's There's just too much. The other superhero series that's been remade a couple times is Spider Man. You had the first one with Tobey Maguire, and then they remade
Andrew
it with Andrew
Garfield, my
Garfield.
boy.
You love Toby?
No, I love Andrew Garfield because I wanted him to win the Academy Award this year.
Oh, got it. Why did you want him to win? Just for Mel Gibson, or you didn't watch the movie or anything?
I definitely did not watch Hacksaw Ridge. But what's funny, coincidentally, I was talking to one of my coworkers this morning, talking about our weekends and what we did, and he was like, I watched Hacksaw Ridge on YouTube. Like he rented, I guess YouTube has this movie streaming service where you can rent the movie for a couple dollars or something like that. And he said he really, really enjoyed it. So maybe I'm gonna go watch Andrew Garfield. And no,
I think I'm done with war movies. I'm not into any of those
oh
anymore.
come on.
I Yeah, it's just too much CGI. It's too fake. I'm not into it. I'll give me stuff like Saving Private Ryan and the old stuff like Black Hawk Down. Like those types of movies were great. Going back though to Spider-Man, which of those is better? And then do you think the new version is going to be even better with Tom Holland?
So
Tom Holland.
I hate Tobey Maguire's version. Like I didn't understand why all my friends in college, I remember at UT, everyone was talking about Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire and it set all these like box office records and stuff, but I just didn't get it. I didn't see the intrigue of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So that to me was the worst. Andrew Garfield, I just think his voice is like really really annoying, so I can't watch any of his movies at all. So I can't say that I like his version of Spider-Man. But as far as like this kid coming up, you said Tom Holland is his name. I think, yeah, I think he's gonna be good because the Spider-Man comics are about like this teenage young kid that's still in high school, and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were just way too old to play those parts.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus is that this new one's going to be better because it's more realistic. I personally like when I watched the first Spider-Man, I enjoyed it. I didn't like Tobey Maguire or Kirsten Dunst, but just because it was like I think it was the first superhero movie that was remade in during this time period, like in 2000s, and so the technology was better. Just the action scenes were pretty great. And I don't know, it was fun to watch. Even the newer one with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, like it was okay, not great. I guess Spider Man is that rare instance where even both the old and the new are bad, just like Fantastic Four, huh?
I've never seen anyone do such a big 180 on Emma Stone than
Oh
you.
yeah, Emma Stone's the best. I love her in it. No, just kidding. I think she's okay. I was talking to my friend Mark Chu, and we used to talk about how much we hated Emma Stone, and then
Jeez.
he told me that he loves her now. I don't know what happened either. He hasn't even seen La La Land. I don't know where it came from. Well, I mean that's all I know of that's already been out there. I do wish that they would remake some of the superhero movies that were made poorly, like the Incredible Hulk, the one with Edward Norton, which actually wasn't even that bad. But then since he was being a diva, he wasn't part of the new Hulk series with Mark Ruffalo. So if they did an individual Mark Ruffalo Hulk, I think that would be great. We know Daredevil and Green Lantern were like the awful superhero movies of the early 2000s. I think they could do those a lot better now too.
Funny story about Green Lantern and Prince of Persia also at the time. I was living in San Antonio with Hal. We were roommates, and he was like the biggest Green Lantern fan of all time, like the comic. And so he made me go out, watch this movie in the theater, and I made him walk out. Like after maybe 45 minutes, I just couldn't handle it. Like it was so bad. Like I didn't understand how Van Wilder and what's her face could sign up for a movie that was that bad.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it's a good thing Ryan Reynolds finally found his calling with Deadpool. That was more made for his personality, even though I didn't really love the movie that much.
It's crazy how Ryan Reynolds and Ben Affleck both got a second shot playing superheroes because their first time at it
Yeah.
was so bad.
Yep. Well, isn't the rumor now that Ben Affleck is not really wanting to be Batman anymore for some
Well,
of the new movies? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that. I mean, I don't.
Well, there's a lot of other remakes that are coming out soon, um, moving away from these superheroes. How would you rank these upcoming either remakes or possible remakes in terms of you wanting to watch them? We got Beauty and the Beast with
Her-
Emma Watson.
Hermione
Uh, the
Granger.
Yep, the possible Space Jam and White Men Can't Jump remakes that we don't really want to happen, and The Mummy, which is Tom Cruise, and I guess it's pretty clear that's number one. How would you rate those four?
So I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. I don't know if you know that, but I definitely want to watch The Mummy. Um, yeah, The Mummy is one, far and away the best one. I'm most excited about. Second would be Space Jam because I'm also a huge LeBron James fan, and I think like the original Space Jam was such a bad movie, and LeBron James, from what I've seen in Hollywood, can act a little bit. I'm not saying he's a good actor, but I think he can do a lot better than what Michael Jordan did in the 90s. And then the other movies I really don't care about, to be honest.
I wonder if sports movies that were from the 90s or earlier would be better now or worse, because I think, like I mentioned before, technology and like cultural references are hard to keep up with for some of these remakes. And for something like sports, as people like view high definition sports and see like instant replays over and over again, would it make it more difficult for the directors and the producers to make sports movies that are relevant and are fun to watch nowadays?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think, with the advent of all these new technologies and stuff, I think any given Sunday would be a great opportunity to remake because the original one just felt like I remember watching that for the first time and it was like I wanted to throw up because the camera shots and how the plays were being shot, it just wasn't like appealing. It wasn't like entertaining to me. It was more like I don't know. It just try to catch you off guard. But with the
Yeah,
technology now, like I feel like that's something that can be done. It's just up to someone willing to put him or herself out there as a director.
I wonder if those old school action movies of the 90s would be better too. Just thinking of the other podcasts we've done, things like Face Off or like Die Hard, do you think they'd be good nowadays? I guess we can't do Die Hard since that series never really ends.
I definitely think it'll be good, but there's always a fine line, right? When we watch current day movies, the thing we complain about the most now as viewers is, wow, that movie had so much CGI, or man, that wasn't
Yeah,
realistic at all. So there's always that line that the director has to walk. So it depends on how much fake and how much real acting there is.
yeah. Any other ideas for things you would want to see remade?
Um, for me, and this is sad to admit, but I think Tiger Woods, the golfer, he's done. Like he's officially he should retire. Like I don't think he can swing a club anymore. And so, with that being said, I want him to remake my favorite golf movie of all time, and that's Tin Cup. And it's like the perfect narrative because his career started off like so hot, and then with the whole fiasco back like in '08 or '09 or something like that, and then now he's like not a nobody, but he's not a golfer. Like people don't he's never gonna contend again. I think that would be the perfect narrative for the actual movie for Tin Cup 2, and so I want that to be remade. I do want to mention another movie that I watched in theaters when it first came out, and it was like so good because it was so good to the point where like I started doing research and learned more about the movie, and it was actually a remake of an original back in like the 50s or 60s, and the movie is 310 to Yuma with Christian Bale and
Uh, Russell Crowe.
yeah, Christian Bale and Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
It's actually a remake from the 50s, and it's like way better than the original. So props to 310 to Yuma.
Oh, so you went back and watched the old one
Yes,
afterwards?
yeah. So I saw
Oh,
I
wow.
saw the remake way before I saw the original.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the original either. Maybe I'll do that because it was pretty good, the new one. All right. Well, that's all I have for different remakes. Do you have any others you wanted to go over?
No, I think I'm good.
Well, hopefully other people can have some suggestions for us. We'd love to find out what the audience thinks. So if you guys want to leave a comment on our Facebook or our YouTube pages, we'd appreciate it. Give us a like on Facebook at Six Pennies Podcast and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page.